Hi, my name is Nathan and I'm from LA. My question is, if someone grew up secular, how can they start? It's hard to take on 613 at once.
I would never recommend that a person begins by taking all of the commandments. That's a recipe for disaster. I would begin one mitzvah at a time. One mitzvah at a time. It could be something as simple as lighting candles. It could be something that's very doable, but that's meaningful to you, that you feel that you can connect to. You feel that's something that you'd like to find out more about and to integrate into your life. You don't begin with everything. There are some people who begin that way. There are certain Jews who are able to just jump into the pool of Judaism. Over the 40 some odd years that I've been teaching, I've found that a significant percentage of those who jump in that way, they drown. I'm also not suggesting that you be the kind of a person that puts in your little toe, and then it takes another half hour till you get the other toe in. But you go into the pool, you get yourself a little bit used to it, you're a little bit comfortable. You go in one mitzvah at a time, you try to work on certain things, and then before you know it, you're swimming pretty good.
If I'm not a bad person and I'm happy with my life, why should I try to make any changes and integrate Judaism into my life?
One of the most enjoyable parts of my journey as a teacher and as a rabbi over the years has been to go speak to kids in high school. And when I walk into a typical high school classroom, in a yeshiva, Jewish day school, I'll ask the kids, "What's your name?" Name is Joey. Joey, what's the purpose of life? Joey. I would say that 9 out of 10 times the response that I've gotten is to be happy. That's the purpose of life, is to be happy. And I'll spend the next hour or so talking about that with Joey and the rest of his friends. Happiness is meaningful if it's a matter of choice. If it's a matter of choice. How do we define good? How do we define bad? What's right? What's wrong? Only a life of choices is a life that ultimately, on the deepest level, it might be hard. I'll tell you a little story in a minute. It might be hard, but it's meaningful. For example, there are people who love animals. I'm not one of them. I like animals, but I would never have a pet or anything like that. But I prefer that they stay in a safe distance from me. But there are people who really, really love animals. I get it. It's nice. But I wonder, even if it would be the greatest dog lover, or somebody who really, really loves giraffes or chimpanzees, I really wonder if you were given a choice. Somehow there was some great Kabbalist or magician who was able to somehow enable you to change places with the zebra or the dog. Would you agree to do that? After all, the dog is happy. The dog is not bad. The dog has a relatively wonderful life. It's taken care of, nourished, fed, and so on. But I don't think, even as the greatest lover of animals, you would want to change places with the animal. And the reason for that is because even though the animal is not bad, and the animal seems to be happy, the animal's satisfied and happy, but that existence is an existence where the happiness was not earned, where the definition of good and bad was not something that you mulled over, you worked over, you struggled for, you died for. It's something that just was. God could have left us as angels in heaven. The angels in heaven are envious of us. Why should the angels be envious of us? We're taught that but they're envious of us. Why are they envious of us? To be in this world. To be in this world with all of the difficulties, with all of the sadness and the sickness and so on, to be in this world. The angels have everything. Why are they envious of us? And the answer is because they don't choose who they are. They're envious because in this world, in this difficult world, one moment spent making yourself better, choosing right from wrong, one moment spent in a life of Torah, of trying to live a life that's real and that's true, despite all of the darkness that surrounds me, is infinitely greater than the life that was given to you by somebody else in which you have absolutely no choice at all. There was a story of a great Hasidic master. He was called the Seer of Lublin, the Chayzim Lublin. He was called the Seer because he had the eyes to see things that other people couldn't see. And there was once another great, great rabbi who brought his two little boys to meet the Seer of Lublin. That was a real privilege, because thousands of people were waiting all the time to get into this holy rabbi. We're talking about in the early 1800s, early 19th century. And this rabbi brought his two sons, they were little boys, he brought them to meet the famous rabbi, the Seer of Lublin. And the Seer was very, very happy to meet these two boys. And he gave the first one, he gave to drink a little taste of what they used to have in those years. It was a certain kind of a strong type of a beer, like a mead, very strong. And he gave the first boy to have a sip. And the boy drank a little bit, and he made a face and he spit out. And the Rebbe, the great rabbi, asked him, the Seer asked him, "What's wrong? Menachem, what's wrong?" And he said, "Rebbe, it's very, very bitter. It's bitter." And the Rebbe, the Seer, said, "That's true." Then he gave his brother, the other little guy, he gave him to have a sip of the same drink. And the other little boy made also a face. And the rabbi asked him, "What is it? Yaakov David, what is it?" And he said, "It's bitter, but it's good." It's bitter, but it's good. So the Seer of Lublin said to the father of the boys, "Both of your boys are going to grow up to be great people. But the second one, wow. The second one, he's going for gold." Because he understands that even though something is bitter, it's hard, it hurts. But that doesn't mean that it can't be good. It doesn't mean it can't be good. A life of Torah, a life that's limited by the commandments, a life that we find from the moment you wake up in the morning till the time that you die, there are instructions. And they're pretty specific instructions about how to live. But that life, with the instructions that are guidelines along the way, helping us, giving us a way of trying to make the right choices, to make better choices for ourselves, helping us, giving us sort of a little bit of a push in the right direction. And I used to play, when I was a kid, every Friday night, my father and I played chess. My father was may he rest in peace, was a brilliant person and a great chess player. And he wanted me, he felt it would sharpen me a little bit and prepare me for studying Talmud if we would play chess. So Friday night after we ate and we would study a little bit Torah, my father would take out the chessboard and we would play. And when we were playing chess and it was getting really intense, only a couple of pieces, it was getting intense. So I would have my hand on the piece and I'd begin to make a move and I would look at my father and sometimes my father would go, "No, And I would think more, and I would make a different move. And then I would see my father going, good. I always thought it was odd. I thought my father was trying to beat me, I thought my father was trying to win. And when I got older, I understood that my father wanted me to win. But he wanted to help me win. The commandments are for the purpose of helping us win. It's a plan. It's a map. It's a Waze, W-A-Z-E, GPS, Waze. Sometimes you get a little bit off, and they go, and you try to find how to get back. You're guaranteed you're going to get to your destination with God's help. You're going to get to the right destination with God's help. But you got to be careful to look at God when you're making your moves in life, because you could really, really make a lousy move and you could lose the whole thing altogether. And I always think of that as I move through life. Those chess games Friday night with my father, I miss them. And I blame myself I didn't do that with my son. I thought it was like not religious enough Friday night to play with him chess, We just studied. And I wish I would have played chess with him. God wants us to make the right moves, but we need His help. The Torah, the commandments, that's our way of looking up from this world. The good things, the bad things, the easy things, the hard things, but taking a look and to see, and if God gives you that wink, it means you're on the right path. Keep on going. It's okay. In the end, you'll get there. That's what it's about.